Marc Lepine was born in Montreal on October 26, 1964, but he did not begin life under that name. He was born as Gamil Rodrigue Lias Garbi. During his early childhood, he spent time in both Costa Rica and Puerto Rico, while his father worked as a successful mutual fund salesman. For a while, the family moved back and forth between countries, but in 1968, they returned to Montreal for good. Not long after, a stock market crash reportedly wiped out much of the family's wealth. His mother, Monique Lepine, was French-Canadian. His father, Rachid Lias Garbi, was Algerian. By many accounts, the household was harsh, controlling, and deeply unstable. Rachid reportedly believed women were inferior to men and existed only to serve them. He ruled the home with strict discipline, and when those rules were broken, punishment often followed. His violence was not limited to anger or shouting. There were repeated reports of physical abuse toward both his wife and children. In 1970, after one particularly severe beating left visible marks on his son's face for days, Monique finally left him. The divorce was finalized in 1976. After the separation, Marc and his younger sister Nadia lived mostly with their mother and had very little contact with their father. The children were said to be afraid of him, and after only a handful of supervised visits, he disappeared from their lives almost entirely. He stopped making any real effort to support them and only paid child support twice before quitting altogether. Marc would never see his father again. As he got older, the anger he felt toward his father only deepened. He refused to talk about him, and at age 14, he changed his name from Gamil Garbi to Marc Lepine, taking his mother's surname and distancing himself from the man he hated. Life at home was far from easy. Monique returned to nursing to support the family, and because of her demanding schedule, the children often stayed with other families during the week and only saw their mother on weekends. Over time, she built a successful career and eventually became director of nursing at a Montreal hospital. The family later moved into a middle-class suburb, giving the appearance of stability from the outside. But for Marc, the damage underneath had already taken root. In school, he was described as quiet and intelligent, earning average to above-average grades. He had one close friend, but struggled to form relationships with others. He was bullied, often mocked for his name and background, and isolated himself more and more. Even within his own family, there were signs of bitterness and resentment. His relationship with his sister was troubled, and some reports suggest that public humiliation and bullying at home only added to his growing hostility. He spent some summers learning to hunt with relatives and developed an interest in building electronic devices. He and a friend were also known to kill pigeons with a pellet gun near his house. At the same time, he took on responsibilities at home, doing chores and repairs, while his mother worked long hours. As he got older, darker obsessions began to emerge. He became fascinated with war, particularly World War II, and reportedly admired Adolf Hitler. To outsiders, he may have seemed withdrawn but functional. Inside, however, something far more dangerous was taking shape. In 1981, at 17 years old, Marc applied to join the Canadian Forces, but was rejected. Later, in his suicide note, he claimed it was because he was antisocial. The military later stated that he had been assessed and deemed unsuitable. He continued his education, first in a pre-university science program, and later in electronics technology, where his grades improved. Teachers remembered him as a serious and capable student, especially in technical subjects. But despite this, he never seemed to find direction or peace. In February 1986, during the final term of his program, he abruptly stopped attending classes and failed to earn his diploma. After that, he took a part-time job in the kitchens at the hospital where his mother worked. Co-workers described him as nervous, unpredictable, and at times aggressive. He eventually moved out on his own. In 1986, he applied to study engineering at École Polytechnique in Montreal, but he was missing required courses and was denied admission unless he completed them first. In 1987, he was fired from his hospital job for aggressive behavior, disrespect toward supervisors, and carelessness. That dismissal enraged him. Disturbingly, around that time, he reportedly described an idea of carrying out a mass killing and then taking his own life. Even then, the warning signs were there. He later enrolled in additional courses and did well academically, including a chemistry prerequisite he completed with a perfect final exam score. Still, his long-term goal of entering École Polytechnique remained out of reach. He applied again and was rejected again. In August 1989, Mark obtained a firearms acquisition certificate. By mid-October, he had received his permit, and on November 21, 1989, he bought a Ruger Mini 14 semi-automatic rifle from a local sporting goods store. He reportedly told the clerk he planned to use it for hunting. In the weeks leading up to the attack, he was seen multiple times at École Polytechnique. 4 days before the massacre, he gave his mother an unexpected gift, an unusual gesture since there was no special occasion approaching. Then came December 6, 1989. That afternoon, shortly after 4 p.m., Marc Lépine entered the École Polytechnique building, dressed in jeans, work boots, a dark jacket, and a cap. He carried a green plastic bag containing ammunition and his rifle. A hunting knife was attached to his belt. At first, he sat quietly in the registrar's office on the second floor, rummaging through his bag and ignoring anyone who tried to speak to him. Then he left and moved through the building until he entered a mechanical engineering classroom at around 5:10 p.m. There were around 60 students inside. At first, nothing seemed obviously wrong. He appeared close in age to the students and reportedly even wore a slight smile. But then he ordered the men and women to separate. Some students thought it was a joke. It was not. He fired into the ceiling, took control of the room, and forced the men to leave. Alone with the women, he declared that he was fighting feminism. When one student protested that they were simply there to study engineering, not to fight men, he then opened fire on them. 6 women were killed in that classroom. Others were wounded. From there, he moved through the building with terrifying speed and cruelty. In the hallway, he shot more students. He tried entering another room. He fired through doors and windows. He descended to the cafeteria, where panic spread among nearly 100 people. Students ran, hid, crawled under tables, and locked themselves in rooms. But he kept moving. He targeted women again and again. He entered classrooms where presentations were still underway because people inside had no idea what was happening elsewhere in the building. He ordered men out, shot women trying to flee, and fired at students hiding under desks. In one of the final rooms he entered, the violence became even more brutal. One wounded student begged for help. He stabbed her before continuing the attack. Finally, after roughly 20 minutes of terror, Marc Lépine shot himself. When it was over, 14 women were dead, 12 engineering students, 1 nursing student, and 1 university employee. 14 others were injured, including 10 women and 4 men. The massacre shocked Canada and the world. It was not only the scale of the violence that horrified people, but the motive behind it. In a letter found after the attack, Lépine blamed feminists for ruining his life. He wrote with cold calculation, naming women he wished to kill and describing his actions as rational. But there was nothing rational about what happened that day. The École Polytechnique Massacre raised painful and lasting questions. How did a man so clearly disturbed come to believe that women themselves were the enemy? How was he able to legally obtain a deadly weapon? And how did so many warning signs go unnoticed or unaddressed before tragedy struck? The legacy of December 6, 1989, is not just one of violence. It is one of grief, remembrance, and the lives of 14 women whose futures were stolen. Their names, their ambitions, and the paths they were building for themselves matter far more than the man who took them away. Cases like this leave behind more than headlines. They leave behind families, unanswered questions, and a kind of sorrow that does not fade with time. And as history has shown again and again, evil does not always arrive looking monstrous at first. Sometimes it grows quietly in bitterness, isolation, and hatred, until one day it erupts in a way no one can take back. If you made it to the end of the video, let me know in the comments down below. Also, feel free to provide me with feedback on my videos, so I can make my content the absolute best it can be for you guys. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe to After Midnight for weekly scary stories, dark mysteries, and late-night nightmares. Sleep well, and I'll see you after midnight.